Well, hey there. I want to thank you for tuning in once again to another episode of the CBC Home Service Success Network. This is our broadcast we try to do every week, and we try to cover concepts, topics, things that will help people in the home service community and help them get out there and get better and get to their dreams. That's what we're all about here at CBC Success Group. So today, what's our topic? Real simple. Where will tomorrow's technicians come from? And why young people aren't choosing the trades. And as an industry, what have we got to do about it? This is an ongoing challenge for so many businesses. And I'm going to revert over to Cheryl in a minute. Cheryl, how many people talk to you that are in desperate need of new people?
Right at this point in time, practically all of my clients. So plus people that aren't my clients are calling in. And it's a huge issue. The Especially this time of year. I don't know what it is, if it's the heat that causes it or whatever, but it seems to be an ongoing thing right now. Everyone I know is looking for employees.
Yeah. So today, I think this is one of the greatest challenges facing home services out there. Where are tomorrow's technicians going to come from? And even down to where is today's technicians going to come from? If you spend much time talking to owners in chimney, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, fireplace, appliance, construction, and any other skilled trade, you're going to hear the same thing. I can't find good people. But today we're going to challenge that statement. Maybe the problem isn't that we can't find good people. Maybe the very real problem is the good people aren't finding us. And when they do find us, are we giving them a compelling reason to choose the industry we're in? We see jobs advertised, technician wanted, helper needed, experience preferred, must have driver's license, starting pay $20 an hour. And we sit here and wonder, why aren't these ambitious young people beating down our doors? Well, this is what we're going to explore today. Are we trying to fill jobs when we should be building careers? Because to be honest with you, it's a tremendous difference. It's enormous. So, how did we get here? For generations, many families were given a very simple definition of success. You graduate from high school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a good job. And there was nothing wrong with that path. The problem was sometimes came next. Somewhere along the way, skilled trades began being presented as an alternative for the student who wasn't going to go to college. Think about the message that sends. Instead of, hey, you got an opportunity to build a professional career in the skilled trades with tremendous benefits and earning potential. The message has become, well, since college wasn't for you, maybe you can learn to trade. That's not really an effective marketing campaign when we desperately need talented people. And that perception didn't just reach students, it reached parents, teachers, guidance counselors, schools, and community. So when a bright, ambitious 18-year-old starts considering careers, how many people are encouraging that person to become a chimney technician? How many are suggesting an HVAC technician, a plumber? How many are saying, have you considered becoming a professional fireplace and hearth technician? Probably not. And here's something else we got to recognize. We're not just recruiting a young person, we're recruiting mom and dad too. People want their children to have security. They want benefits. They want advancement. They want respectable careers. They want financial opportunity. They want their children working somewhere with good leadership. So if mom and dad, they see the trades as dirty clothes, dirty hands, low wages, dangerous work, broken down trucks, and no future. So why would they encourage their child to enter our industry? We got to change that picture. So I'm gonna go to Josh first. Josh is a young man that his parents sent him to college. He's not doing what he went to college for. He's not doing what he has a degree in. So Josh, what's your thoughts at this point on the image we're presenting out there?
That's an interesting one. I can tell you because I remember I was that first generation where you said you had to go to college, right? Like that's even my parents thought that because my dad, I mean, there's real questions if my dad actually finished high school or not. And technically, him and my mom were both dropouts, and or left home, at 16, 17. I think there's too much sheltering going on with with our parents. Everyone's afraid. um i don't I don't think as parents we've changed to where we're not as hard on the kids, and where the parents are just, oh, I don't want them to be bad, have a bad childhood, so they don't pressure them to do chores, mow the lawns, um and do that and develop that work ethic. um I have a friend who's a foreman on a job, and his first thing I ever put him on is dirt work. I always put him on dirt work first because I'm going to know within 8 hours if they're going to stick around. This is nothing's harder than dirt work. And I'm going to test the metal of them, and pretty soon you'll see if they're sitting in the shade, um, on their phones, what they're going to be made of, they're going to work out or not. But I think we're generations where the work ethic just isn't there anymore, and people don't understand the value, or even um, the feeling of getting a job well done, getting a job, accomplishment. We're not getting that. Growing up, the shop class is gone, so people don't understand that feeling of building something.
Yeah. So it'd be real great to sit here and say, hey, it's the school's fault, it's the parents' fault. But I think as an industry, we got to look in the mirror because sometimes we created the image problems ourselves. Put yourself in the position of a 20-year-old. He's considering two different jobs. Nobody seems to know what's happening. Complaining about management. There's no training program. Nobody talks about advancement. The owner's running around putting out fires. All they see is chaos. Then the owner tells you, we've got a great career opportunity here. Really? Does he really want to join chaos? Now, let's look at something completely different. Imagine visiting another company. Clean, professionally wrapped vehicles, professional uniforms, an organized, clean, neat facility. Technology is being used. Morning meetings are being held. Training is taking place. Certifications are proudly displayed. And a group of employees who appear proud of their work. A clearly defined advancement program. Someone sits down and says, here's where you'll start, and here's where you could be 5 years from now. If you were the person looking for employment, which one would you choose? Because professional companies with the right image attract people looking for professional careers. We can't complain about people's perception of the trades while we're reinforcing the stereotype we're trying to overcome. So, Cheryl, what's your thoughts on what I just talked about?
I'm not going to go on what you're talking about. I'm going to go on something we should talk about before what you're talking about. One of the biggest problems that I'm seeing, and it was verified by a 19-year-old boy I interviewed this morning. He had no idea there was such a thing as a chimney service company. No idea whatsoever. And the thing about it is, part of the blame I want to lay on is the organizations, the trade schools, the other places that introduce these young people or either market the things. With the marketing part is not showing these young people. We're putting it on websites that me, you, and Josh can see. We're not putting it in places where the 18, 19, 20, 25-year-old kids are looking. And so that he's not the first one. I've interviewed multiples that had no idea till they saw it on the Indeed that there was such a thing as the chimney service industry. So I think we need to figure out how to get that part worked out. Make sure you're advertising your company in a spot that a 19-year-old can see. Because, and then you've got to offer them a lot of things. This guy was looking at exactly what you were talking about. But until yesterday, he had no idea there was a chimney service company.
Dead on the money. Excellent input. We have an image issue here, folks. So, Josh, over to you. What's your thoughts from a young man who was groomed to go to college, went to Tennessee, and went to school? What's your
Yeah.
thoughts here, brother?
Well, my question is, if people aren't looking for chimney trade jobs, what are we? I'm going to flip this back to, what are we looking for in a candidate? Are we looking for carpenters, mechanics, electricians, someone that has some sort of experience? Should we be advertising for that and increasing our pool? Because if we're just looking for guys with experience, because I know a lot of my clients we're at the point where, do you even want to hire a guy with experience? Because if you're a top level company, the ones that are coming with experience probably have a lot of bad habits from companies you don't necessarily want to be with. So my question is, why don't we place ads for carpenters or plumbers, or let's just say roofers? Roofers are comfortable being on the roof. That's a much bigger pull to pull from roofers than from experienced chimney trades. Because I can tell you, there's absolutely, in my market, we were kind of, we're on a peninsula, landlocked there, and we did not have experienced people to pull from. It was never going to happen. Jerry's other client, that was in my market, there's absolutely zero people to pull from. So who are you really after? You're looking for someone that's already used to working with tools in their hands.
Right. So, like we're talking about, we got an image issue, and we've got to change that image if we're going to succeed in pulling people to us. It is a big, big marketing issue. So, what you've got to stop doing is advertising your vacancies. You got to start marketing careers. You see this advertisement: chimney tech wanted, $22, $24, whatever per hour. Experience preferred. Now compare it to this: build a career in the home service industry. We'll train you. You'll develop professional technical skills. You'll learn industry certifications. You'll learn customer communication. You'll have opportunities to advance into leadership. You'll work with people committed to helping you become successful. The first one says, we need somebody. The second one says, hey, we have an opportunity for you. And this distinction matters. Recruiting today is all about marketing. We understand marketing when looking for customers. We build websites. We run Google ads. We create videos. We use social media. Spend a fortune to develop new brands and our branding. We talk about why customers should choose us. But when we need employees, we just throw an ad on Indeed saying help wanted. And then we complain that nobody good applied. Seems like the chronic unemployed are what we see. Maybe we need to start asking prospective employees the same question we ask prospective customers. Why should they choose us? Cheryl, back to you. Your thoughts.
Well, one thing and most of my clients do it. We leave our ads up 12 months out of the year. My reasoning for that is number one, you don't look desperate the month you put them up. Um, you've got an ongoing chance of finding somebody really good. So with the ads, to be honest, there needs to be an ad because there are a group of people that are looking for nothing but the money. So you've got to make that the number one important thing. You almost need a sister ad that goes for the other side, the culture side, to build them up. But so I switch ads around. One time the money's the pertinent thing. The next time the career's the pertinent thing. People, I think, are making a huge mistake in their ads by never changing them. They leave them just like they are, and they're always marketing to whatever niche they're looking for, the money people or the career people. They need to change it up and do it on a regular basis. So one month the career guy's got it, and the next guy, the dollar man's got it. The thing about it is you don't know who's on there that month. So yeah, it makes it hard. It's a game sometimes working with the ads.
Okay. Josh, over to you, brother.
Well, you had me thinking about the culture ads, and then I it reminded me of the Skinny Jeans crew, Jerry,
Yep.
and the guys at Cumberland Creative, having them come in and do culture videos, and I'm sure they can make Instagram friendly reels for you, and having someone like that knows that market and bringing them in to do the culture because you know it bring this up all the time. Chick-fil-A's hiring for culture. They're not hiring for you know I don't know, not experience, but they're hiring for culture and fit because you don't see people at Chick-fil-A. You don't see fights at Chick-fil-A. They don't end up in the news, things like that. So they're just looking for the right people, and they've developed that culture, over time that good people want to be there because you don't see those employees going to other fast food establishments from there. So I'd be looking to make a video to say what my culture is like to attract people.
Very much so. Very much so. But you've also got to show them, if we're talking about careers, what's the career ladder look like in your company? Because see this whole thing, young people, they need and want to know where they're going. Imagine you're interviewing a 20-year-old. If you come to work here, you're going to start as an apprentice. Now, let me take you through your career path. Year one, you're going to be an apprentice. You're going to learn safety tools, customer interaction, your basic technical skills, company procedures, and industry fundamentals. That's in your first year. In your second year, we want you to be a certified technician. You're going to be running calls, developing technical expertise, serving customers, and increasing your earning potential. Year three, you're going to be a senior technician. You're handling more complex work, and you're beginning to mentor others in the company. Year four, hey, if in our plan, you're going to be a crew leader. You're going to be responsible for helping other people succeed. 5 years and beyond, maybe you become a field supervisor, an estimator, a sales professional, a trainer, an operations manager, even a general manager. And maybe someday, maybe you'll own this business. Now you have a completely different conversation. Would you like a job cleaning chimneys? No, we're saying, would you like to build a career in an industry where you can develop skills, potentially take you into management, leadership, sales, or entrepreneurship? That's something that ambitious people can get excited about. Cheryl, your thoughts. Back to you.
Hey, I agree. We're gonna have to build on a ladder of some type. And the bad part is when you're desperate for employees, that's when it gets the hardest because then you taking on a bunch that you aren't training and showing them all this is hard. So we've got to up our game. And like you say, the ads have got to read certain ways. The other thing is when they walk in that office, they've got to show them what we've told them. Because if you build up this great spiel when you're trying to get them in, and you bring them in the office, and a snowball chance in hell is not going to happen there.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we have our problem. We say one thing and we do something else.
Okay. Josh, your turn, buddy.
Um, I definitely like that idea of having, someone on the future, because if it's just you're going to be in this truck for the rest of your life, you know, and it's a broken, dirty, dirty truck, what are you really showing that guy? Are you, and that goes to, and that rolls back into how you're structuring your pay and your recruiting, because and how you're billing for your services, because you need to, back from that. It's like, okay, if I want to attract good people and I want to have the things that they're looking for. I remember, you remember Ron England, right, Jerry?
Of course I do. Went fishing with him years ago.
And he had a trucking company. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And in order to, and I remember him telling us when shoot, this is a long, long time ago, but drivers are in high demand, truck drivers. And if you were not going to keep a truck driver if you put him in a truck that was more than 5 years old. That was one of the things you had to have, was a constant, changeover of vehicles. And think about that, just, if it looks broke down to, after 5 years, what does that look like to a prospective employee, customers, things like that? So work on, your numbers. So how do you get to that point?
Right. And I'm going to throw something else out here. This hiring problem we have is causing employers to keep people employed that need to be fired and gone away. They are energy vampires. They are sucking the culture out of the company. They're very good at what they do, but they are wrecking the culture and new people that come in. And so we've got to find people to replace this kind of person, because this is holding the company back. They're holding it back. I gotta have him. I gotta run this truck. That's what I hear. Had several conversations this week about this specific issue. See, we also got to do this, and this is what we're talking about here. We got to hire people with the right character, and then we have to be prepared to train for skill. Because to be honest with you, finding competent, experienced people are going to be a problem, because that's what you see. People are searching for experienced technicians. Cheryl has clients, and they only want experienced technicians. We want somebody to walk in the door. They're already certified. They're carrying a license if you're in that area. They're experienced. They're great with customers, great at sales, mechanically talented. They're reliable. They're professional, have a clean driving record. And not only that, they already know how to operate our software. Guess what, folks? I just described a unicorn, because they don't exist. And if they do, they probably already have a job that you're not going to suck them into working for you. We have to become better at building technicians instead of simply trying to find technicians. And this is an old saying, it goes back for years, that you hire for character and you train for skill. You got to look for the attitude, the reliability, the work ethic, the curiosity, the communication skills, the mechanical aptitude, the integrity, the willingness to learn. We can teach them all of the technical skills. My God, I've got an online platform with hundreds and hundreds of courses for this. We can teach them the software. We can teach them the sales process. But it's real hard to teach somebody to care. It's hard to teach integrity. It's hard to show somebody to show up on time if they don't have that character. And it's very difficult to reach someone and teach them to want to improve if, to be honest with you, they simply don't have that desire. So instead of asking Cheryl, where can I find an experienced technician? Talk to me and let me know, because I'll tell you how we can build them. It's going to take work. Cheryl, back to you.
I agree. You know, the hard part is the trying to find not that person. It's harder to find an experienced one by far. But the trouble is they bring the old styles in with them. They bring they bring what they learned and what bad stuff they learned. So I personally would much rather train someone and train them in the style of my business than to untrain them in someone else's business. So I'm not a huge fan of it. That's what the clients ask for, so that's what I look for. But I am actually starting to find younger people that want to do something. They want to work with their hands. Several of them have just come out of college. It's like, wasn't for me. I need to work. So we've got to have employers that have got to be willing to train these people. And I know it's hard in the beginning of season, but if you don't train them, somebody else will. So my thing is, we've got to work on the employers just as hard as I've got to work on finding the employees.
Dead on the money. We got to work on the image and we got to be prepared to build these people. That's the way it is. Josh, over to you, buddy.
I'm trying to figure out. I don't have anything to add on that one. I think I kind of said it is, what does it look like when you walk in the door? Is it, what do the customers see? It's almost like you have to get someone outside, outside your, how do I put this? As a highly organized person, and as you know me as a digital person, I have a client that that loves paper. Matter of fact, when you go in his office, it looks like chaos to me, but he can tell you what every book and piece of paper is. And to me, that's off-putting because I can put his entire office onto my phone, and then I can find it and search it and do it in seconds. And to me, it looks like, a hoarder. And, what does your business look like to an outsider if you're trying to recruit? Because recruiting is, it's bait, right? That's literally what it is. It's putting a bait pile out there. And, if I don't put bait out, I'm not going to see, what I'm looking for. If I'm if I'm fishing and I'm using, the wrong lures, I'm not going to catch what I'm looking for. And, everything that we do, from the social media to the way our trucks look and the way our warehouse looks and how our offices looks is going to, reflect on that.
Right. And here's another thing. What you do is not easy. Don't sell them that it is. That's a mistake you can't make. Don't try to convince any young person, any new hire, that what they're going to be doing is easy, because it isn't. They're going to be working when it's hot, when it's freezing cold. They're going to have to climb on roofs. They may have to go into crawl spaces. They got to go in an attic. And there ain't nothing worse than going in an attic in the middle of July in the South, folks. You're going to get dirty and you're going to deal with difficult people. There's going to be days when you're tired. So don't sell it as easy. There's a tremendous satisfaction in being able to look at something at the end of the day and say, I built that. I fixed that. I solved that problem. The family is safer because of what I did today. That's purpose. And in today's world with today's young people, purpose matters. You're not looking for everybody. You're looking for the people who can take pride in becoming really good at something valuable. So, Cheryl, your turn again.
I started a good while back about putting in a lot of my ads about it being hard work, blah blah blah, on and on, the bad points, also the good points. I mean, you can't write a book, but you can get a few points in there that automatically let these people know they're not sitting behind a desk. They've got to be able to use certain tools. They've got to deal with the cold. I mean, that's in the questioning when let you get them in during the interview. Let them know they're going to be working in the hot and cold, because there's nothing like someone thinking, this is going to be a cush job, and get out there and find that there's actual labor, there's actual weather problems, there's actually things that don't weigh 10 pounds. So with that, I think a lot of times it's the wording in the ads that help. It's also the wording in the interviews, and it's what you show them when they come into after they get past me or whatever, they come into your office. You need to show them what you've got. Talk to them, let them know, because it's a lot better to lose them in the interview than it is to lose them after you've put several years or a year into them.
There you go. Good words. Josh, you got anything to add to that?
Um, I'm gonna, Cheryl said put the bad in there, but I think the bad comes in the interview, not the initial bait you throw out there with your ad. Yeah, it's hard work. I mean, I had a thing in there. You must be able to lift at least up to 100 pounds or something like that. And I had a guy just absolutely refuse to help. They picked a wood stove off the pallet, and the guy just gave up. Says, "I don't have to lift anything that heavy." I'll never forget that guy. He just said, "I don't have to lift that. We don't have to lift anything that heavy." And it was like, "All right, buddy, it's time to go." That actually only lasted 2 days, but. And again, I'll just go back to baiting. What does your bait look like? Do you have? Is it health insurance? Is it what benefits are they looking for? Are they looking for more time off? I know you've got a client that gives off for Christmas break every year, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they get 4 to 6 weeks of paid vacation that they can get, and to me, that's a huge thing. And who is your target audience too is, if you're looking for, a young man with a family, what are they looking to do? What is their goals? Are they looking to take their kids to activities in the evening? And, me and my daughter, do competitive jiu-jitsu together. So, it's very important that we go to class together, and do that stuff. So, what are their values? Because I had a single dad working for me, and his value was, okay, I have to be off hard at 4 o'clock to get my kids because I am it.
Right. So you probably have a customer value proposition, what you provide to your customers. Why should your customer choose you? But if you run a home service business and you're listening to me today, right now, listen to what we're saying. I think you need to put together an employee value proposition. And these are the things to cover, because why should this talented young person choose your company? Everybody's after him. You should be able to answer the following questions. And I encourage you to write every one of these down and come up with the answers. And in your interview process, your face to face, go through these. Share with them the following. What will you teach them? What skills will they develop? What can they earn? How do they advance? What certifications can they obtain? What's going to be your investment in them? What's the benefits you provide? What's your culture going to be like for them? Let them know that the managers are going to help them be successful so they can build a future right there on your ranch. And here's a big one, folks. And this one kills a lot of people. They want to know that they're going to be respected. Don't underestimate that. Young people want to know that their work matters. It doesn't mean you're lowering your standards. It doesn't mean somebody gives you a trophy. It means treating people like professionals while holding them accountable to professional standards. Your turn, Cheryl.
Yeah, I agree with all the above. The thing is that's where Josh and I pretty don't hit on a lot of things. I still believe they need to know part of that in the fishing process. And you would be amazed at the number of people that I get. It's like, I want a job where I know I've done good and I want to work with my hands and I don't mind getting dirty. They lead off with that. So I think it's just a matter of who's reading the ad. That's why we put out not contradicting ads, but different ads for different places.
Okay. Josh, your thoughts.
I kind of want to go to the respect thing, and the manager's role. What is the manager's role? Is it to build? And I always thought it was more of to build them up in a system. But I talked to my old foreman, and his boss was a yeller. His old boss was just yelled and screamed at him. And I'm like, how did you stay there for 5 years? I still don't understand that. But and then if you're grumpy all the time, who wants to work with that? That was me and my dad's issue is, he couldn't tell you good job. It always sounded like F you instead. And that was, and set clear expectations. And I think those were things that for me that, are big, big to do. That's like where you have a written job description. Do you have written SOPs that define these? Define what you're doing. So if you go by the book, you're what is it? You go by the book, you're off the hook, right? So
Yeah. So keep in mind the following. You as a business, you're competing for talent. And this is the big reality. Your biggest recruiting competitor might not be someone else in your industry, because talent is looking for people to work in warehouses, manufacturing, delivery companies, government jobs, retail, technology, remote work, the military, colleges, your local town. You're competing against your local town for employees and other trades. And there's piles of other industries we never thought as competitors. They're all compete for that same young person. So what you've got to do is differentiate your company. What makes your opportunities better? Is it your training, your culture, your income potential, the advancement, the leadership, The schedule, you just heard Josh say, guys got to be out by 4 o'clock. The benefits, the technology, certifications, the purpose. You can't just say, hey, we're hiring, because to be honest with you, everybody is hiring. You got the answer. Why pick us? That's got to be your thrust to win at this battle. And it is a battle for people, folks. Cheryl, your turn again.
It is. I mean, there's so many companies out there looking. And the one thing I want to say to a company is that they applied for yours, they applied for 10 more. They didn't apply just to your company. So be aware, not only is there other people out there competing for them, they're looking for the one that's the best for them. And so the more they get, the more they have a chance to pick the correct one. I mean, we're looking for a person, they're looking for a position. So till those two marry together, it doesn't become a win-win.
And let's add to that, you have to move rapidly. Cheryl, have you seen people that have lost great employees because they failed to follow up to get the next interview set up?
Many times. I mean, I try to jump on the ads shortly after they come in. And as soon as I do an interview, I try to get it to the client or at least let them know there's one coming.
Yep. Josh, your thoughts?
I would say you definitely got to act fast because someone who's looking, they have bills to pay, and I got a mortgage that's got to get paid. So you got to add that value and let and get them nailed down because Maslow hierarchy of needs, you got to be able to eat and got to have shelter.
That's it. So don't lollygag around. So here's some more things for you to write down. Here is 10 things you can begin doing to attract the next generation. Number one, create a career ladder. Show people where they can go. Number two, build a structured training program and plan to hold people accountable to this. You have to hold them accountable and you have to congratulate them as they accomplish different things. Number three, you have to market careers, not just job openings, not just we're hiring. Number four, and this one a lot of people don't want to do, but you've got to create recruiting videos featuring your great employees, especially your younger ones. Let prospects hear from people like themselves. Reach out to high schools and technical schools. Don't wait for them to discover you because you're probably hidden. You think everybody knows you, but they probably don't. Here's the next one. Show parents that their son or daughter can build a respectful, financially rewarding career. Number seven, professionalize your image. Trucks, uniforms, facility, website, and people tell candidates what kind of a company you are. You got to develop your managers. You got to understand this. You can recruit great people and leave them because of poor leadership in the company. Number nine, recognize and celebrate their achievements. Pat them on the back. Certifications, promotions, and accomplishments, those all matter. And here's number 10. Give people something worth belonging to. Build a culture where people are proud to say, I work there. That's powerful recruiting, and it's powerful retention. Cheryl, back to you.
Well,
And this will be your last input, okay?
the one thing that stands out there to me is make it important for that employee because your biggest and best recruiting person is an employee. But I just want to, in closing, say, employers, take a look at yourself. Take a look at what you're selling. Make sure your selling is what someone wants to buy or to be. And with that and recruiting and having people work with it, we can come up with a good company. And again, the more good employees you get, the more little recruiting people you have out there looking around.
Got it. Josh, what's your closing thoughts on today's topic? Oh, Josh,
I think he's gone.
I think he blinked off. Okay. So I don't know where he went to, but hey, what can we say? Anyway, let me leave you with these thoughts today. We hear a lot about the labor shortage. And if you run a home business service, you know it's real. And you know finding people, good people, is difficult. But what we got to stop thinking. Why don't young people want to enter the trades? And we got to start asking ourselves, what are we doing to make them want to enter the trades? What you do. You actually have an incredible story to tell. These home service industries provide essential services. They're offering opportunities to develop valuable skills. They offer advancement. They offer entrepreneurship and offer the satisfaction of solving real problems for real people. We got to tell that story. And more importantly, we got to build companies that live that story. You got to stop looking for somebody just to fill a truck. You got to start looking for someone whose future you can help build. You got to stop offering jobs, start offering the careers. And this is the only way you're going to stop searching endlessly for experienced technicians that probably don't exist. What you got to do is you got to build the next generation of professionals yourself, and it's going to be tough. It is. It's going to take a commitment. It's going to take investment. Because here's the true story. The future of your company and ultimately the value of all skilled trades depends upon the people we're developing today. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us today here on the CVC Home Service Success Network. It's our mission to help you build the business to the level that you dream of. And in closing, I want to share with you, as always, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and it's a pleasure to have you join with us each week and to be able to speak to the thousands of people that we do that watch our replays. So appreciate it. Hope you have a good week ahead, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. Let's make great things happen, folks. It's all up to us.